Hey guys, it's Mr. Schmidt here, and in this video we're going to talk about the effects of inflation. So since we know what inflation is in terms of a general rise in the price level, what effects does inflation have? Well, we first should recognize that some people are actually helped by inflation. The first category would be borrowers. So if you borrow money from somebody, okay, and then there's inflation, the value of the money you borrowed starts to decrease. That it reduces its purchasing power. And so when you pay it back to the lender, you're giving them money that wasn't as valuable as when you borrowed it from them in the first place. And so you benefit because the money you give back to them, yes, it may be the same physical number of dollars, dollar bills, but that money doesn't go as far as it did before, and therefore you are better off. Firms can potentially also benefit from inflation. So if their product price, for instance, grew by, let's say, 5%, and the cost of their resources only increased by 2%, then they actually benefited by 3%. Like they can sell their product for 3% more basically than they could before in terms of their net gain. So firms could potentially benefit from inflation so long as the rise in the price of their product is faster or greater than the increase in the price of the resources used to make that product. Of course, there are also those that are hurt by inflation. Lenders, as we talked about in the previous slide with borrowers, the money that people lend out to others, when they get it back, if there's inflation, that money isn't worth as much as it was before, and so lenders are worse off. People with fixed incomes, right? Like if you're only given, let's say, $2,000 a month and there's inflation, the value of that fixed income is going to decrease if it doesn't adjust for inflation. And so you're going to be worse off if you're expecting a certain amount of money every month and that's your only income, you are, vulnerable to the effects of inflation. And then savers, like if you're someone who's saving your money, putting under your mattress and your piggy bank or whatever, and there's inflation, that money's just sitting there, losing value, losing purchasing power, and that's not good either. Finally, there are some more general costs or negative effects of inflation that a lot of people experience. The first one is menu costs. So this is mostly just for firms, but it's the cost to change listed prices. So if there's inflation and prices are changing constantly, imagine being a restaurant and having to change the prices on the menus every week or every month. That gets annoying. It's time consuming. It takes you from other activities you could be doing for your business. That's an example of menu costs. Shoe leather costs are the cost of time and effort people spend fighting the effects of inflation. So, for example, if you have to make more trips to the bank because things are more expensive, so maybe you only withdraw so much money at a time, or maybe you split up your trips to the grocery store because things are more expensive, and so you're trying to make your money last longer. Those are shoe leather costs, okay? So the cost of having to deal with inflation, right? In terms of, maybe trying to put your money in an account with a interest rate that adjusts to inflation, all of these headaches. And then unit of account costs is the idea that money doesn't reliably measure the value of goods and services. If prices are changing, particularly if they're increasing, you're not really sure how much something is worth, right? Okay, is it worth $500 if I know there might be inflation that's going to change its price tomorrow? It's hard to know what something's worth. It's hard to compare prices as a consumer, and it creates more trouble for the individual. So those are the effects and costs of inflation. Until next time, have a great day.